Okay, Brianna, thank you very much. So, with the White House and House Republicans at least talking, the obvious question, how close are we really to a deal? Congressman James Lankford of Oklahoma, chairman of the House Republican Policy Committee, was at the meeting with the president, joins us now. Congressman, thank you very much for joining us.
You bet. Good morning, Chris.
So, we hear that there is progress. This morning, lawmakers are trying to back us off a little bit, but what do you say? Did you come out of that meeting headed in the right direction?
We are headed in the right direction. 10, 11 days ago now, we said, here's what we would like to have. We'd like to have face-to-face negotiations, sit down, start talking through the issues. The White House and the Senate both said no. We refused to sit down and talk. Yesterday, for the first time, we sat down and talked. I think we can get all this resolved if we can actually sit down and face-to-face and start working this out.
All right, so you got that part of it down, but the big piece coming from the president's side is, I'll talk to you, but I'm not going to link Obamacare's defunding or any major change to us getting the government going again. Is that now agreeable to your side of this discussion?
What's interesting is 10 days ago that was agreeable. 10 days ago the House of Representatives passed a measure that said, here's what we're interested in. We're interested in members of Congress and the White House being treated exactly the same as every other American. And we're interested in those folks that are facing penalties and fines this first year if they make a mistake, if there's an error, or if they just don't want to do it this first year, that they would have the penalties removed. They could still sign up for the exchanges, they could still move forward, they just wouldn't face the penalties, which is exactly the same as where businesses are. So this notion that we've been hard and we've been difficult to work with and we want total defund or nothing is not true. We've already passed something 10 days ago that said that, and that's what we want to get a chance to sit down and talk with the president about. And so we feel like that's a very fair thing. Is we protected businesses, we should protect individuals as well from these fines for the first year.
But you do recognize that by putting those provisions in to any bill that reopens the government, you're doing what the president said he wouldn't allow, which is connecting, restarting the government to doing something to Obamacare, right?
Well, we want to sit down and have that conversation. We haven't had an opportunity to be able to have that conversation. We want to sit down and be able to have that. I think the White House, the Senate will find we're very reasonable in this process if we'll actually sit down and do it, which amazingly, it took 10 days to meet for the first time face-to-face. That to me is very sad and is a breakdown of our system. We should do that immediately.
Well, look, it's sad to everybody. That's why we want to make sure that there's actually progress now that it's happened. So let me just ask this one more time. If you came out of that meeting and you say there's progress, does that mean that the Republicans are now ready to present something to the president that restarts the government, avoids the debt ceiling problem, but doesn't deal with Obamacare in that same bill? Will you do that?
I'm not going to get into the middle of any of the negotiations that are happening. We've been very good about this. The White House has been great about it overnight to say, let's stay out of all the details as we talk through all the different options. Let's just try to actually talk and walk through this process and see what we can resolve, because our goal is to try to get this resolved. I believe it's the White House's goal. I believe it's the Senate's goal. The first step of that's actually meeting face-to-face, though. We've accomplished that. Let's keep going.
Okay, so now we get to how long this will take to end. What do you think about the timetable? You know, there are polls out now saying that Republicans are taking much more of a beating than the president, although there's plenty of blame to go around.
Plenty.
Is that pushing you guys to get this done sooner? What do you think?
I don't know that it's pushing it to get it done sooner. You don't hear a lot of eagerness from Republicans that we were in this moment as well. 3 weeks ago, we were saying we didn't want to shut down. It's the same as where we are right now. Now, understand that we are here. We want to try to get this resolved. So as far as how quickly it could be resolved, it could take days. It could finish today, depending on how the negotiations go and how we get a chance to interact with the Senate. Again, people are going to find out that we're very flexible in this. We want to get a chance to make some progress and to be able to move forward. We have other issues that have to be dealt with that are much larger. The country is facing huge debt in the days ahead that has to be resolved. But we also have constituents that are being hurt by Obamacare, that are facing higher premiums, that their businesses are cutting back, that they're going from full-time to part-time. There are very real issues there that the White House can't ignore and say everything with Obamacare is going fine. Your network's done a great job of covering the rollout of the website and all the problems that have happened with the website in the last 2 weeks. That's a microcosm what's happening in exchanges, in insurance connections, in hospitals. What is happening in the website is a very public view of what's happening all over America in multiple different aspects of the rollout. There are issues. They have to be dealt with.
But you don't have to connect them to shutting down the government. You don't have to connect them to playing with the full faith and credit of the United States government with the coming debt ceiling. Do you regret that move? Because you know that's what bothers people. Nobody has a problem with debating Obamacare. Nobody has a problem with finding better ways to have fiscal responsibility, but you linked it to shutting down the government. Now you shut it down. Now you're playing with the debt ceiling, all in the interest of these issues. Do you regret making it this severe?
Here's the hardest part about this. For the past 3 years, we've passed over 40 different bills dealing with different aspects of the Affordable Care Act, to saying we have problems, there are issues, we anticipate things, we don't think this should move forward. We had 40 different bills that we passed. The Senate would never take them up. The President would never talk about them. After 3 years of that constant, we have to sit down and deal with this, it finally reaches this moment to say, at some point, we're really serious. We have to sit down and deal with this. Our constituents are being affected. While they raise up some constituents that are being now covered, that are under the different plans that are covering those with pre-existing conditions, terrific. We're also raising up folks that are being affected by this in a negative way, and we can't just ignore them as well.
But you do know that the people out there are just about unanimous in saying, don't punish us for your process. So, Congressman, hopefully you find a way forward real quick that gets the government reopened. Thank you for joining us on New Day.
You bet. Thanks.
Good luck going forward.